A recast is a form of corrective feedback and is more subtle than other forms of feedback. Although there were many cases of recasts found in the data, they did not appear to be particularly effective. This makes recasts a somewhat elusive concept to deal with, and research often produces mixed results. As Haidt, a psychologist, has written, the mere presence of a smartphone in our field of vision is a drain on our focus. Even a locked phone in our pocket or on the table in front of us screams silently for the shattered fragments of our divided attention. But even in January there are bulbs, pushing up through the soil of my neighbor's gardens. I feel a new kind of gratitude, too, at the unfolding of the English spring, incremental and reassuring, with 3. What were yesterday the bare branches of the weeping willow today gently, 4. Gauzed with new leaf, a swipe of yellow ochre, cadmium green, cerulean blue. Even when a first-class author has enjoyed immense success during his lifetime, the majority have never appreciated him so sincerely as they have appreciated second-rate men. He has always been reinforced by the ardor of the passionate few. And in the case of an author who has emerged into glory after his death, the happy sequel has been due solely to the obstinate perseverance of the few. They could not leave him alone, they would not. They kept on savoring him, and talking about him, and buying him. Gender attitudes do not affect economic reality, but rather the other way around. The rise of women is not the result of any ideology or political movement, it is a result of the widespread realization, sometime after the Second World War, that families in which women work are families that prosper. And countries in which women work are countries that prosper. If you absolutely must have that sugary drink, try to consume it with a meal or in one sitting rather than nestling it all day, Dr. Quinones said. I would rather you're a gulper not a sipper. Drinking water after you've finished eating can also help swish out any sugars, she added. It is well documented that the Incan people developed domesticated plants and animals that helped them form large settlements. They undertook a tremendous amount of effort to transform dry mountain terrain into land suitable for sedentary life. It is widely assumed that the British form a relatively homogeneous society with a strong sense of identity, but it is an assumption that requires considerable qualification. For example, in his famous Dictionary of Modern English Usage, Fowler wrote, "It must be remembered that no Englishman, or perhaps no Scotsman, calls himself a Briton without a sneaking sense of the ludicrous, or hears himself referred to as a Britisher without squirming." Netflix, 1. Credits its large subscriber base and its recommendation algorithm, 2. As the reasons that a 22-year-old show like 6 Feet Under or a once-forgotten basic cable legal drama like Suits can become a hit on, 3. Its service. Mr. Sarando said that the company doesn't have a division for licensing original series, 4, nor does he see any reason to set one up. Sharif Clark in Selma, Alabama, cannot be dismissed as a total monster. I am sure he loves his wife and children and likes to get drunk. One has to assume that he is a man like me. But he does not know what drives him to use the club, to menace with the gun and to use the cattle prod. Something awful must have happened to a human being to be able to put a cattle prod against a woman's breasts. What happens to the woman is ghastly. What happens to the man who does it is in some ways much, much worse. The Oscar-winning Nomadland observes an America not so much forgotten as ignored, or never seen in the first place. The film redirects attention to where the cinematic gaze is usually fleeting, and often made by those inured to passing over service work, alternative living situations, older people, women in general, and particularly older single women uninterested in stagnation, cordiality, or disappearance. The success of modern advertising, its penetration into every corner of American life, 1. Reflects a culture that has itself chosen illusion, 2. Over reality. At a time when political candidates all have professional image makers, 3. Attached to their staffs, and the President of the United States can be an actor who once sold shirt collars, all the cultural signs are pointing to more illusions in our lives rather than, 4. Fewer. Visitors to Takasakiyama threw caramels wrapped in paper to the monkeys, a common practice in Japanese zoos, but one the Takasakiyama macaques had never before encountered. In the course of play, some young monkeys discovered how to unwrap the caramels and eat them. The habit was passed on successively to their playmates, their mothers, and the dominant males, and finally to the subadult males. The process of the acculturation took about 3 years.